Hello everyone, this is Gorax. In today's video we will go over all the new corrosion damage type heroes and how their mechanics work. You'll be able to see all of the skills in action. But that's not all. In the upcoming videos I will show you how broken currently Rook is and explain to you why. Let's go! Let's go over Rook, who is an exclusive hero with an exclusive artifact. And let's go over his skills. So we got Aura, 30% attack in all battles. That's cool. Increased damage dealt to enemies with current HP of more than 50% by 30%. That's really good. So above 50% by 30%. So, you know, bosses... that should work on bosses as well. The bosses always have max HP, and this is why the wrist damage is so low against bosses compared to other things. Okay, so he puts this wall. Indiscriminate Assault summons a giant rat to strike enemies with range, dealing 350% attack poison damage. Deals additional 50% attack poison damage once every 10,000 corrosion on the target. Ignores the enemy shield. So that's a battle skill. Okay, deals additional 50 damage. We'll see how this corrosion works really. And we can see here, even it explains the corroded portion of the HP will gradually drain over the time. Cast free spells 3 times. Cast the spell 3 times. Okay, AoE 3 times. With each spell dealing 260. So that's like 780 total damage to enemies within range. Deals additional 35% once for every 10,000 corrosion on the target and also ignores enemy shield. So yeah, a confusion about his passive. When he is on the battlefield, he increases damage dealt to enemies whose current HP is more than 50% by 30%. This should apply to your allies as well, as long as he's on the battlefield. Okay, it doesn't say his or allies damage, it's the basic damage that is being dealt to enemies above 50%. So we can expect a huge burst until enemies fall down, and hopefully it will work on the bosses. Now, nowhere in his skills says he applies corrosion, and we can see that during the battle, okay? So there's no corrosion on the enemies, the dummies. And when we do AoE, we're dealing like 3k damage. He doesn't have any equipment, so we are just looking at the raw numbers. Okay, so let's bring someone who does apply corrosion to the team. I'll go over that hero eventually, but let's look what's happening now, okay? There will be a difference. This hero's basic attack has a chance to apply corrosion, same as the battle skill and everything else, so it's like a 50% damage, but I don't see that corrosion on those heroes. But let's see if the damage of the damage didn't increase. Maybe because the low chance of this corrosion. So currently we can't see the corrosion being highlighted like in the description of the corrosion. As you can see, the corrosion is applied. This is like the poison effect there. So it should highlight the bar. I tried in Goblin Dungeon as well. It does not show, okay? So, but we can see the damage increase here slightly, but there is, okay? Because obviously he doesn't really have that much attack because he's not built with equipment. But that is how the corrosion works. So he will deal extra damage based on the corrosion stacks. Okay, so the next corrosion hero is Whisk. And he is another one that applies corrosion. The exclusive hero does not apply corrosion. He deals damage based on the corrosion, okay? So everyone else looks like will be buffing him. So when under invincibility, damage dealt will be increased by 30% and corrosion will be increased by 15%. He gains invincibility on his battle skill for 5 seconds and strikes the farthest enemy from the hero 3 times in the meantime, with each strike dealing 150%, which is 450 total, and converting 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion, okay? So all the damage you do with most of these heroes, of the new heroes, will do the corrosion, which is like a stacking debuff with points that then is utilized by other heroes. So that's the idea. So if he does 1000 damage, the 500 of this damage will be converted to corrosion. Okay. Now on his ultimate, he gains invincibility for 5 seconds, so he's constantly invincible, and 20% attack for 10 seconds, and deals 105% attack poison damage to enemies within range, and converts 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion afterwards. Okay, so hold on. This damage here, he hits it only once. So it's not going to be huge damage. It doesn't say based on the corrosion damage. Okay, that doesn't seem like it's a lot. It's really low. Really low damage. Okay, so let's see how it works in action. So he's enabler for corrosion. So his battle skill, yeah, he goes there, he hits. There's a corrosion. We can see that animation being applied, but we can't see the HP being affected. So what damage? Right, wrong description. That was a wrong description. Did you see that? He casted it multiple times. So yeah, it seems like this description needs to be amended. This is wrong. He deals 105% damage to enemies within range. Yes, that's true. But he cast that skill multiple times. He's rotating, as you can see. So this damage is not terrible. If it was only single hit, then it will be terrible, but it is not. Look how he rotates, okay? So as you can see, this is a test server. Things like this will happen and they will get fixed. This is a lot of damage. This will be a lot of damage. I think it's like 7 hits or something, so it will be like 700% damage. And a good AoE damage as well. So let's see what Sacradia does. Again, Corrosion. We can't see that being applied to the dummies like in this preview here, sadly. But it's working. You can see this poison aura being applied. So allies attack 45% in dungeon battles, inflicts 10% corrosion to all enemies every match. Normal user defined 1 second. I think 0.1 second or 1 second. Who knows? Another issue. Swarm of Rampage. Battle skill AoE. Ooh, that's actually quite nice AoE damage, yeah. Deals 350 damage to enemies within range, centered around the enemy, and converts 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion. Okay, so she's another one that can apply it. And she deals 640% attack. This is exactly what we are expecting from the ultimates. That's the range, so that's why the previous hero ultimate range is about this. Okay, so he's probably casting it like 6 times. To enemies within range, increases corrosion inflicted on all enemies by 25%, up to 1200 of the hero's attack. Deals, okay, increased corrosion inflicted on all enemies. That means, similar to Shug's skill, all the collision that your team does will be increased. It's not hers, okay? Deals extra damage equal to 60% of increased corrosion to all enemies afterwards. Okay, so let's see the skills in action. As I said, this is raw damage. We don't care about the damage here. We care about the way the hero works. Okay, so yeah, that was a bad. Okay, that's actually quite cool animation here. Yeah. So as you can see, the battle skill targets and explodes around the target. We can't control it, so the placement will be vital. You want to make sure she hits the middle guy, basically. But this looks amazing. It's a range corrosion applying hero. Yeah, I really like her. Not gonna lie, I really like her. Let's jump to the epic tier, and we have Dargu, Corrosion. City of Trial Battles, 30%, so that's your Feymander and Pillars. So I'm expecting a little bit of CC here maybe, and debuffs, well, we'll see. When attacking enemies whose current corrosion is less than 30% of their max HP with skills, sadly we can't see that. The corrosion damage dealt will be increased by 30%. Okay, so he's like buffing the corrosion we apply. Deals 400% poison to the enemy with the current highest corrosion and converts 50%. So we can target, single target, basically someone who we really want to get rid of. And we summon 5 orbs. This is a whole area map. Okay, 5 orbs to strike random enemies in turn. Enemies without corrosion will be attacked first. So this helps us apply corrosion to someone who doesn't have corrosion. That's quite cool. Each strike deals 200% poison damage to them and converts 50 of the damage dealt to corrosion. So 5 orbs and each strike to strike random enemies in turn. Okay, so let's see that in action. All right, let's place him in the back. And let's see how his skills work in action. All right, so that's the battle skill. Hits enemy without corrosion. And then his ultimate, the orbs are going. Okay, so 5 orbs. So 5 hits here. Not too bad. Obviously, we'll test those teams properly against bosses later on. This is just a preview of the heroes and what they do. Okay, so it looks cool, not gonna lie. And so as Baggies mentioned, if there's a single target, right? If we change this to a single target, the damage here, look at this damage, is 200 per strike. 5 orbs, that's 1,000. This is your single target nuker, probably. So look at this, okay? Single target nuker in the making. And 5 orbs hitting single target. Bang, 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 bang. Okay? That's amazing. And now another melee orc, Gragger, Corrosion again. So when an enemy is inflicted with corrosion dies, the hero gains 20% attack up for 10 seconds and recharges 10% ultimate energy. We like that, don't we? Right? So maybe good for goblins, we'll see. Strikes enemy twice, with each strike dealing 220 poison damage and converting 60% of the damage dealt to corrosion. Deals 700 poison damage to enemies. Oh, why they didn't expand that range? And deals 300 attack poison damage to enemies inflicted with corrosion. Okay, so 1,000. Look at this. This is 1,000 scaling here. That is huge. This is a huge burst as well. I think this dude will shine in the Goblin Dungeon, looking at the skills, because he will reset, right? Similar to Sigrid. His ultimate energy will reset. The corrosion is not a debuff, right? It's not a debuff, as you can see. It's just an effect applied. But this is going to be huge on the Goblin Dungeon. I mean, that's what I think. So let's have a look at the next epic corrosion hero, Gagu. So he looks like the tanks, but he's not. So Fatal Curse inflicts 50% attack corrosion to the attacker when taking damage, and also increases corrosion inflicted to enemies around the hero by 25%. Okay, so this sounds like a tank passive, a passive you would love to have on a tank. Deals 330 attack poison damage to enemies within a range and converts 30% of the damage dealt to corrosion. So low range, I would not expect this to be too good. And lower range than the Gragger's ultimate. Strikes enemies within range 3 times. So that's 720 poison damage here. And converting 40% of the damage dealt to corrosion. I don't know. It feels like those 2 skills are way weaker than those 2 skills. But this might be interesting, okay? I don't think this is huge amount, but also he increases the corrosion inflicted to enemies around the hero. So, you know, all the corrosion you apply will be increased by 25%, and that includes other heroes as well. So let's have a look at how this fight looks. Yeah, 720 to targets in the Goblin, that is a lot, yeah. But yeah, make sure we have good range here. And yeah, as you can see, this is how it works. You have corrosion around him here, and the corrosion applied is increased when they are around him, and he explodes. Okay, so that's quite cool. But again, melee hero, and so far the experience with melee heroes is, you know, the range is quite low, but maybe enough for Goblin. It's like Ushas, isn't it? Let's move to our rare heroes. So Sabrina is the first Corrosion rare hero and seems like it's PvP oriented. She's got Grand Gladiator Arena buff, Usually it means the hero is more PvP oriented. Converts 25% of the current corrosion to damage immediately when the hero skills deal damage to enemies. Okay. Immediately. Converts corrosion. Hold on. So she might be like a super strong, because she converts the corrosion to damage immediately instead of amplifying skills. But let's go over the rest of the skills. Okay, so bouncing skill. Fires an orb that can bounce up to 4 times between enemies, dealing... Okay, so that's 400... Well, more. 600. That is a lot of damage. Yeah. But it's obviously split between those targets. Okay, so that's 640 damage there. Each time, and converting 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion. And then, 700. Again, huge scaling to enemies within range and gains 50% attack up for 10 seconds. Right. She's interesting, but what we're going to do here is we're going to pair her with the other rare, Rasran. So Rasran brings crit damage aura in all battles. I mean, this aura, 24%, this is on par with like epic heroes like, was it Arrakis? Yeah. Basic attacks have a 50% chance of dealing additional 100% poison damage. This additional damage will be converted to corrosion, so based on the basic attacks. So we can increase speed to apply it more often, attack speed. Deal 320 attack poison damage to enemies within range, okay, so around him, and converts 50% of that damage to corrosion. And then we have this, chronic mortality, deals 240% poison damage to enemies with a range. Okay, so again, a smaller range, but let's see how those two play out together. Sadly, we still can't see that applied corrosion, but I mean, she seems okay. Obviously, the damage here will be not showing you, not reflecting the true damage, because he's got equipment, she doesn't, okay? But yeah, interesting heroes. We'll know more about them when we test them against the bosses. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe, bye!